Alright, so this is part 2 of my V3 boffer making foam sword video, where I'm describing how to make a pommel. I've got a fiberglass rod here. I know it's not carbon fiber, it's not the one from the prior video, but I've already capped off the ends with foam, as demonstrated by that video. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, I've got some cork seat here. I've got some, so this is very thin material, you can get on Amazon. I've got some washers, stainless steel washers. I've got a bunch of tape strips which you can't see on the camera, but all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cork board right here, and I'm going to start with maybe an inch, basically as long as I want the pommel to start out with, and I'm going to cut successively thinner strips. So I'm going to start here and again just get a little bit thinner as I go. If it's not perfect, it's no big deal. As long as it's just a little bit thinner on one end than the other. And so let's cut along here. Okay, that's not really any thinner. So again, we'll go kind of just like this. Cut a little bit more. Off, and then starting with the thicker end. I'm just going to start peeling this adhesive off. Again, this is just like very thin cork board. It's got the adhesive built onto it. Position it like this, and then just basically line it up here and wrap it as tightly as I can without breaking it around the core. And the idea here is we're going to make kind of a successively thicker cone, which is going to be the pommel end. Yeah, so I'm applying at least some pressure to this to keep it tightly wrapping. It's just not so much pressure that I actually break the cork. And once I've wrapped a full strip on, I'm going to take some of my packing tape. Again, this is about 6 inches worth. I'm just going to wrap it all the way around like this, as tight as I can. Now I'll just kind of go like this and cross it down at this end. And I'm just going to keep repeating that until I get my desired size, which in this case, for most boffer sports, it's around 2 inches. So now I've got this much. Here I want to start here. And again, you just cut a strip that narrows down just a little bit. So I'll start here. Get a little bit thinner as I go down. And the other thing to keep in mind here is if I want to add additional weight to the pommel, just to fix the balance of the sword or to meet some kind of minimum weight requirement. I'll get it thick enough to the point where this thing will, you know, the diameter of the wasser lines up with the pommel that I'm building up. So we're not quite there yet. You can see there's a little bit of extra space here. I might not need a full strip here, and so I'm going to do this a little bit at a time and just stop when I get to the diameter of this washer. So once again, just peel off the adhesive. Line it up good, and slowly wrap it around, keeping some pressure, and just making this piece as flat as possible. So we're not quite there yet. I can still feel that there's a little bit there, so we'll go maybe a little farther. Okay, now I can feel with my fingers that basically we've gotten as right as this washer right here. So I'll go ahead and stop this one, cut it off right here. And now, before adding the tape, I'm going to add as many washers as I want to increase the weight. I'll go ahead and add 1, 2, 3, 4 here. So that's I'll go ahead and take another 6 inches or so of tape, and just starting from here, wrap it around and include the washers. You can go over the washers. The idea is just keep them tightly in there. Like so. Just make sure they're tightly pressed against here. And everything is sealed down with that packing tape. Once again, just press down this end. Make sure they're secure. And now when I go to cut the next one, I'm going to make it as wide as this end plus the washer. So we'll start right about here. Yeah, it looks like right about here. Yeah, so we've gotten a little bit wider than we were before just because we added the washers. But again, I'm just getting successively narrower as I go on. And we're just going to keep doing this now until we meet the desired diameter. That does not look like it's... Yeah, if you don't get it right the first time, just keep trying. Just cutting off a little bit on this side so it gets a little bit narrower as it goes on. Okay. Once again, tearing off the adhesive, starting where I stopped right here, and continuing to wrap it. This time lining it up with the washers that I added for weight. And again, just wrapping it as straight as possible. Might not be perfect, but yeah, try to keep it straight as you go down. Just keeping it in line with these washers, so once again you kind of have this reverse cone that just gets wider and wider. And again, we're just going to keep doing this until we get to our desired diameter of around 2 inches. You know, it would be about 2.1, 2.2 inches, just so you get a little bit of margin in there. Okay, now it looks like, now that we're done, we're going to tape it up again. Tape it as tightly as we can. Okay, so now we're going to go adjust this camera just a little bit. Okay, so now we're getting to about that thin. I'm going to stick with about this much. So now that we're getting toward the end, we're down to maybe a centimeter, maybe or so, getting a little bit thinner as we go on. This isn't going to be the sole piece, but we'll get to that. Because this alone would be far too hard for a pommel. Once we're done with this, we're going to cap it with a layer of EVA foam and then a layer of blue camping pad foam. Okay, I'm going to stop and restart the video here just so I can gather the other pieces that we need. Okay, so continuing the video, I'm still cutting out these successively thinner strips. I've just got about maybe 2 1/4 or you know, somewhere between 2 1/4 or 2 1/2 inch piece of EVA foam here. It's about 1/2 inch thick, and then we've got another piece of blue camping pad foam that's cut roughly the same size, maybe a bit larger. So we're continuing to cut these thin strips out. I'm going to start right about here. Now I've gotten maybe as thin as I want, so I'm not really going to get any thinner as I go down now. Maybe getting just a little bit thinner, but not by much. And we're just continuing the process here. I'm going to keep wrapping to form the pommel as tight as we can, and keeping it as straight as possible. Oh, there, damn, we accidentally broke it. If you broke it, it's not a big deal. Just put it back together and keep going. Can't put a lot of tension on this now that this strip is so thin. So we still got a bit of ways to go there. We're going to put down another layer of tape. Yeah, so we still got maybe one more wrap to go. Okay, same deal, continuing from where we left off. And just wrapping it around. Not quite there yet. Still not quite there yet. Yeah, so we're just about there. Need probably just a little bit more. I do have this convenient strip that I cut off before, and so I'm just going to use a little bit of that. Once again, we go starting right about here. And now we're, if you look at this, we're just about up to it. You can be a little bit under because we're going to tape it down anyways. I'm going to put one last piece of tape around the whole thing. And now we're going to tape in place the EVA foam and the blue camping pad foam. Alright, so this is the final part of the video. We're just going to tape in place these foam. We've got the foam right here, and the pommel part has been made to the point where it's even with the foam. We've got a piece of EVA foam right on this end of the pommel, and then we've got a softer blue camping pad foam. And so we're just going to start by taping this in place. We're not using glue because the whole idea is that this is supposed to be serviceable. If we're using this sword for a while and the foam wears out, we want to be able to replace it easily, and we can secure it perfectly using this packing tape. And so again, we're just going to go all the way around it once. Then I'm going to put a piece of packing tape over the top like this. Just make sure that whole top portion is covered. And then we're just going to go around it again. And just make sure everything is held in place. And that's it for the pommel video. The whole intention here is that we've got something good to hold on to with our hand here, if that's how we want to hold our weapon. It's got successive layers of foam on it, so there's no way that you're going to feel core through this or anything else. Nice and durable, and if the foam does wear out, it's perfectly serviceable.